Napoleon, a movie so damn French I felt like I was freebasing moldy cheese into my wine-soaked veins.
No doubt you'll send the chaos in the streets. We must make an example, or France will fall. What would you do if this assignment of defense was transferred to you?
I promise you brilliant successes.
Your favorite Eldritch Horror here, bringing you a review of the movie Napoleon, the greatest and certainly most ambitious Frenchman in history. The story starts with a young Boney as a simple gunnery sergeant. He is tasked with ending a British blockade, and does so in magnificent fashion. The battle set a great tone for the film, highlighting the dark and brutal nature of warfare in the 1800s, as Napoleon's horse takes a cannonball straight to the chest as soon as it begins riding toward the currently besieged fort. After this victory, he is made a general, and his true ambitions are sparked. The French Revolution is in full swing. Guillotines descend and nobility are relieved of their mortal shells. You gotta hand it to the French for their willingness to make their leaders pay for their mistakes. And in my book, those who would deem to rule incur a debt that can only be repaid in blood. I found this movie to be a beautiful celebration of the French people, and found it delightfully humorous at many points, realizing partway through that this was as much a dark comedy as a historical documentation or drama. And after meeting so many pleasantly insufferable Frenchmen and deliciously unhinged French women in my own life, I can say this film captures that special nature of the people well. The French are like a sour lemon slice, which somehow improves a crisp glass of water. Napoleon uses his new station as general to marry a widowed noblewoman, a woman who admits to turning herself out while in captivity, to which Napoleon assures her he doesn't care about her past indiscretions. And in response, she spreads her legs and pulls up her dress and tells him to never forget what he sees down there. French women, huh? Old Boney then goes campaigning, duty calling him far and wide, all the while writing home to his wife, yet never getting any response. She just can't find the time between being ravaged by other noble men of the French court. Such a busy schedule. Word returns to Napoleon about his tramp of a wife, and it breaks his heart, even pushing him to abandon his army in Egypt and return to France to confront her. He also takes this opportunity to confront the current governing body that has arisen in the absence of the royal family. A decision is made that France should be governed by a triumvirate, which includes Boney Boy, yet he quickly rises to king and emperor. Afraid of his ability as a military genius, France is attacked by European rivals, and Napoleon masterfully defeats them, namely Austria and Russia. This battle was beautifully shot, showing the Austrian and Russian allied army being led into a trap, attacking a French army camp only to be flanked by infantry and cavalry. Then, once driven out onto a frozen lake, they are fired upon by concealed French cannons on the high ground. This victory secures France's hold on mainland Europe for now. Dramatic scenes between Napoleon and his wife are scattered throughout the film. I found them to be inoffensive. They never felt in the way or that they were wasting screen time, and in fact, many of them were quite funny. The main issue we see repeatedly in his wife is her inability to get pregnant, eventually leading to a divorce. Napoleon remarries to an Austrian princess after his offer to marry one of the Russian princesses was turned down. This cements his alliance with Austria, a critical ally in the wars to come. Soon enough, though, he was forced to respond to more European aggression when the Russians sided with the British, thus leading to Napoleon's infamous invasion of Russia. An allied Western European force of 600,000 men entered Russia, successfully making it all the way to Moscow, only to find that Tsar Alexander would rather burn the ancient city to the ground than negotiate with Napoleon. I really appreciated that the film included this and highlighted how absurd it was. The Allied army was beyond shocked. It was unthinkable that the enemy would raise their own capital. This total war scorched earth tactic worked well, forcing the Grand Army to retreat back through the harsh Russian winter all the way to Poland, eventually arriving with only 40,000 men left. An unmitigated disaster which forced Napoleon to abdicate the throne. He was then exiled to Elba, where he wouldn't even last one full year before once again being swept up by destiny. Here we witness one of the greatest pieces of real-world lore in all of human history. Upon hearing that Napoleon had returned, the leaders of Europe sent an army to arrest him and bring him to trial. But once they saw their beloved emperor again, they refused the order and instead joined him. Can you believe that? Can you imagine the level of loyalty they must have felt in that moment? On pain of death, to refuse the orders originally given and side with the exiled former emperor. Napoleon reassumed the mantle of emperor and prepared for what he knew would be an all-out attack. back an allied force of European nations against him. The culmination being the Battle of Waterloo, where bad weather and bad tactics of attacking uphill into entrenched British soldiers led to the decimation of Napoleon's army. Finally, exiled once again, Napoleon died not long after on a remote island off the coast of Africa. I give Napoleon a 19 out of 21. 7 out of 7 sacrifice cultists. The costume design and set design were absolutely spectacular. Perhaps I am biased toward the 1800s aesthetic of European palaces and gritty Napoleonic warfare, but I adored the visual spectacle from start to finish. The cinematography was creative and unpredictable in a satisfying way. 6 out of 7 screams of the damned. Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor, and I absolutely love the realistic clumsiness he brought to the character of Napoleon, making him feel both human and giving additional weight to his achievements. The emotional impact of the storyline with the wife certainly didn't carry the movie, though it didn't fall flat either. A loving couple who is unable to have children is one of the genuine tragedies in life, especially when duty to the nation demands that the emperor have an heir. As for supporting characters, they were few and far between. Most time was spent with Napoleon, and I appreciated that. 6 out of 7 Tentacles of Cthulhu. I was deeply engaged throughout the movie. The viewer is roped in with an exciting yet small-scale battle at the beginning of the movie, and the battle scenes are so well done that you hardly notice how short they are. The plot follows Napoleon's life closely, and while I don't know about his personal life, I do know that they followed his military history quite accurately, right down to the box formations that the British used during the Battle of Waterloo. Finally, the writing was excellent. There are many scenes with great dialogue, somehow seeming both formally and informally accurate to the period. Napoleon was an entertaining and exciting film that I highly recommend. I could tell as I left the theater that it would age gracefully and included battle scenes that will immediately fall onto compilation lists of greatest battles ever put to film, despite their short runtimes. The film had a delightfully dark humor to it and never failed to make me laugh when it wanted that, while successfully toning down to gritty business during times of war or drama. Subscribe for more and hit the bell icon to stay notified. That's all for now, mortals.